Every few million years, Earth forgets what mercy looks like. She reshuffles the deck and lets geology play dealer. Forests turn to deserts, oceans climb continents, rivers change their minds. And sometimes something worse happens. Predators get too good. Evolution doesn't have goals. It just builds things, sharp things, fast things, things that shouldn't work but somehow do. Think toddler with a chemistry set. Except the beaker grows teeth. When those experiments start breaking the furniture, the planet quietly cleans up the evidence. Long before humans drew monsters on cave walls, Earth was field testing the real ones. They didn't hunt, they stress-tested existence. Most failed spectacularly. By which I mean, they succeeded too well. So tonight, it's 3 prototypes that won the arms race and lost the world. Prehistoric killers you've never heard of, but absolutely should fear. Let's start in the water. 100 million years ago, late Cretaceous, the seas over what is now Texas. The water's thick with plankton, silt, and bad ideas. Visibility? About as good as a bowl of soup. Something moves in the dark. Leptostyrax macrorhiza. 25 feet of streamlined muscle. Roughly 3 tons of pure, don't touch that. You've never heard of it, but you should have. Because this shark was the blueprint. The prototype for everything evolution would later brag about. Makos, great whites, even the dreaded Megalodon. Only difference? Leptostyrax was the beta version that accidentally shipped without a safety limit. And like all great prototypes, it worked too well. Leptostyrax wasn't the only ocean hitman out there. Cretoxorina, nicknamed the Ginsu shark, was already slicing through anything unlucky enough to blink. But Leptostyrax had something the Ginsu didn't: speed, bite leverage, and a general disregard for moderation. Its body was hydrodynamic perfection, tapered, efficient, with a tail that could turn water into a weapon. Top speed? Around 30 miles per hour, comparable to a modern short-fin mako. Except this one didn't chase tuna. It went after reptiles. Its teeth weren't dainty little filleting knives. They were jagged cleavers, broad, serrated, and thicker than a chef's ego. Made for ripping through mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, and sea turtles the size of small cars. One bite could turn a ribcage into confetti. Picture this. A young mosasaur, maybe 15 feet long, drifts near the surface. Still new to the whole existing thing. The water's calm, everything's fine. Then, blur. No circling, no theme music. Just physics having a panic attack. Leptostyrax accelerates, 0 to 30 in seconds. Impact, silence. Then the water blossoms red. The calf isn't dead yet. It's just missing important pieces. Kind of like your paycheck 2 days after payday. Here's where things get unfair. Leptostyrax's bite force is estimated around 6,000 psi, on par with a modern great white. But thanks to longer jaw hinges, it had more leverage, meaning it could focus that force like a hydraulic press from hell. By comparison, human bite, 160 psi. Lion, 650 psi. Great white, 4,000 to 6,000 psi. Leptostyrax, 6,000 psi, but with 25 feet of torque behind it. Translation: the shark equivalent of a Tesla plaid. Silent, fast, absolutely unnecessary. If a great white picked a fight with Leptostyrax, that's a pit bull versus a bull shark. Outcome: 1 gulp, minimal paperwork. Its weight, roughly 6,000 pounds, 3 tons, gave it momentum most modern sharks couldn't handle without snapping their spines. Each lunge was basically a living torpedo with teeth. And the jaw? It could exert more than 2,700 kilograms of force in a single bite. Enough to crush turtle shells or mosasaur ribs like soda cans. You wouldn't survive even a test nibble. Even the fossils look like they died apologizing. So why don't we talk about it today? Because it lived in the wrong neighborhood. The Cretaceous oceans were already full of celebrities, mosasaurs, ichthyosaurs, and rival mega sharks. It was like trying to go viral in a sea full of influencers. Then, 66 million years ago, boom, asteroid, firestorms, dead oceans. And the first to go? The big eaters, Leptostyrax included. Turns out apex predator is just another way of saying last one to starve. But evolution doesn't throw good designs away. It takes notes, refines, recycles, and 60 million years later it hit Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and gave us the great white. Only smaller, and slightly less horrifying. Because honestly, the original was probably better at killing than anything alive today. Leptostyrax didn't go extinct because it failed. It went extinct because it was too efficient for a planet that wasn't ready. Now let's leave the ocean and head somewhere even worse. The swamp, where everything smells like mud, decay, and bad decisions. 82 million years ago, late Cretaceous, North America, a continent-wide swamp the size of a bad idea. Humidity so thick it could file taxes. Every breath tastes like mold and regret. Dinosaurs wander in to drink. Big mistake. Deinosuchus riograndensis, 35 feet long. 17,000 pounds of prehistoric malice. Not a crocodile that lived in the water. A crocodile that made the water unsafe for everything else. If modern saltwater crocs are bad news, Deinosuchus was the press release. Its skull stretched 6 feet. Each tooth roughly 8 inches long, about banana-sized if bananas could puncture armor. Bite force, 23,000 psi. That's 6 times stronger than a salty, and roughly equivalent to being hugged by industrial machinery. And we know it used that power often. Turtle shells and hadrosaur bones carry the receipts. Deep gouges, clean shears, and perfectly shaped tooth impressions. This wasn't scavenging. This was Cretaceous-era customer service. One complaint and you're gone. Dusk. The swamp hums. A hadrosaur, 30 feet of vegetarian confidence, steps to the water. The surface is glass, peaceful. It bends down, and the world detonates. Water erupts. Mud shrapnel flies. No warning, no roar, just hydraulics and violence. The hadrosaur's throat collapses before it can scream. Its 4-ton body disappears below the surface like bad debt. 5 seconds later, silence. A ripple. A few bubbles. Swamp. Reset to factory settings. This wasn't a chase predator. This was gravity with a mouth. Deinosuchus didn't hunt. It waited. At 17,000 pounds, it didn't need to run. It just had to show up. Tail torque alone could drag multi-ton prey into the abyss. One twist and the bones remembered. Imagine a crocodile so heavy the water feared displacement. That's Deinosuchus. So what happened? Not an asteroid, not divine intervention, just math. Big bodies burn through big calories. And when the climate shifted, temperatures, sea levels, coastlines, the buffet closed. The megacrocs starved, the rivers thinned, and evolution quietly wrote a new rule. Never build an apex predator that needs 2 tons of lunch per day. Smaller crocodilians stepped in, lean, patient, and annoyingly efficient. They didn't inherit the throne, they inherited the lesson. But somewhere inside every croc that still drifts beneath the surface is the code for something bigger. A reminder that once, one of their ancestors was so powerful it scared dinosaurs off the shoreline. And just when nature seemed to learn restraint, it decided to make one that could run. Madagascar, 167 million years ago. Though technically it's not Madagascar yet. At this point, it's still welded to Gondwana, one continental roommate away from Africa. The landscape? Hot, dry, spotted with trees that look like they've given up. Everything smells like dust and ambition. Something moves through it. Razanandrongobe sakalavae. The name translates to giant lizard ancestor from the sakalavae region, which is adorable. Because this wasn't just a lizard, it was a crocodile that looked at the swamp and said, "No thanks, I'm going freelance." 23 to 26 feet long, roughly 1.5 tons. Bite force, 12,000 psi, twice that of a Nile crocodile, and enough to fold bone like cardboard. Except this wasn't your average low-riding belly crawler. Razanandrongobe was high-walking, A long-legged, upright crocodile built for land. Muscular limbs, forward-facing eyes, a stride designed to chase instead of wait. Let that sink in. A crocodile, that could run. On land. At speed. Jurassic Park never prepared you for cardio crocs. Now, modern Nile crocodiles can sprint at 22 miles per hour, but only in short bursts before they remember they're lazy. Razanandrongobe was different. Its limb bones suggest endurance stalking, slow, deliberate pursuit across open terrain. It didn't wait by the water. It went out into the plains and hunted dinosaurs. Picture it, the air rippling with heat. A young sauropod, 15 feet long, still figuring out gravity, grazes near a rocky outcrop. A shadow shifts. Razanandrongobe moves like a silent tank. 4 pillar legs grind across the dirt. The eyes stay locked. Predator eyes. The sauropod turns. Too late. The sound that follows isn't a roar, it's a crack. Wood snapping, bone folding. The bite is clean, efficient, brutal. Seconds later, it's over. The dust settles. The plains go quiet again, pretending it didn't happen. Now, here's the part that made paleontologists squint. When scientists first uncovered the skull, they thought it belonged to a theropod dinosaur. Because the teeth weren't crocodile teeth. They were serrated, blade-like. Slicing tools, not gripping tools. Nature had basically reinvented the steak knife. Twice. That's convergent evolution, when 2 completely different species independently build the same nightmare. Razanandrongobe had massive jaw muscles anchored to a skull built like a pressure press. It didn't drown prey like modern crocs, it dismantled them. Think Komodo dragon, but on steroids, 3 times heavier, and with a mouth capable of snapping femurs like pretzels. Closest living relative? The Nile crocodile. Except this one could run like a lion and chew like a garbage disposal. Imagine that walking out of the tree line toward your campsite. No water in sight, just bad decisions and the sound of approaching footsteps. Evolution, in its infinite wisdom, decided to see what would happen if you gave a crocodile cardio. Turns out that was everyone else's problem. But it didn't last. Not because of an asteroid. That's still 100 million years away. Razanandrongobe's problem was timing. It showed up in the Middle Jurassic, the exact moment dinosaurs were getting ridiculously good at being predators. Allosaurus, Ceratosaurus, fast, efficient, pack-hunting murder machines. And as good as Razanandrongobe was, it couldn't out-evolve an industry that specialized in killing. It was a brilliant experiment, but evolution had already built a better version. Dinosaurs won. Crocodilians went back to the water, and the land-stalking croc became a biological footnote, a nice try in Earth's experimentation log. Still, nature has a bad habit of reusing old files, because every few million years it tries again. In Australia, in South America, even in Africa. Each time a crocodile stands up, starts jogging, and immediately gets cancelled by evolution. The answer's always the same, not because it's a bad design, but because something else is always better. And that brings us to the bigger question, not just how they lived, but why every one of these monsters eventually vanished. Here's the thing about apex predators. They're not built to last, they're built to dominate, to crush competition, to sit at the top of the food chain and dictate the rules. But ecosystems are fragile, and when you're too good at killing, you run into a problem. You eat everything, and then there's nothing left. Leptostyrax, Deinosuchus, Razanandrongobe. Each of them perfected something. Speed, patience, brutality. And each of them was quietly retired by nature. Because when your design is too lethal, there's nowhere left to evolve. You can't get better at killing when everything's already dead. So evolution hits the reset button. The asteroid helped. Wiped out the dinosaurs and most of the marine reptiles. But even without that, these predators were on borrowed time, because being the best hunter in the world doesn't matter if there's nothing left to hunt. Nature doesn't reward perfection. It rewards survival. Great whites survived by getting smaller, crocodiles by getting patient. The rest? They were too perfect for their own good. Because when you're built only to kill, extinction is just job security with an end date. Thanks for watching. And until next time on Dead Curious.